everyone. It is 8:30 on Tuesday, November the 10th, and it's morning briefing time. First of all, updated numbers from the unaccompanied children there. No changes to our declarations. No changes to our ongoing damage assessments in Texas. No fire management grant requests have been received over the last 24 hours. Now, as we switch over to the Geo platform this morning, things are relatively quiet right now. Ryan's going to have a weather update for us in just a moment. Before we go there, no changes to the national status. Both are at level 4. No changes to the region status. Both the region RCC and the watch are at level 4. No changes to the status of our state EOCs, all at level 4. No changes to our IMAX. You have 1 shelter, correction, 3 shelters still open in Texas for 105 occupants. That's from the flooding. And looking at power outages this morning, region-wide, we're just under 1,200 power outages. Texas has 552, Louisiana just under 400, and the rest are lower than that. And before we turn it over to Brian, just like to say happy birthday to the Marines, 240 years old today, and tomorrow is Veterans Day. And thank all the veterans for their service, young and old. Now we'll turn it over to Brian.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Yes, very quiet on the radar today. We're really not expecting much in the way of any precipitation for today, but we are expecting some pretty gusty winds over New Mexico and into far west Texas, and also in the Panhandle region and up into northwest Oklahoma, where we have several high wind watch warnings and advisories in effect for today. Expecting gusts and anywhere from about 45 to 55 miles per hour this afternoon, and that could cause some blowing dust and reduced visibilities. Also, some crosswind issues there. That's the main story for today, where we do have those wind watch warnings and advisories in effect. We also have a very marginal risk or elevated fire weather risk for eastern New Mexico into the western portions of the panhandles for this afternoon. Like I said, very marginal, shouldn't be any sort of outbreak situation, but just did want to highlight it on the matrix and the map for you. And then for tomorrow is when things really start to kick into high gear as far as actual weather that we're going to see. We do have the chance for some severe thunderstorms. The good news is the risk that we were briefing you yesterday has been diminished a little bit. We did have the enhanced risk that was over portions of northern Arkansas, but that's been shoved off to the north and west now and is focused primarily into Missouri and Iowa for tomorrow. So we just have a slight risk now over Arkansas and into eastern Oklahoma and northeast Texas, along with northwest Louisiana for tomorrow. And that's going to be primarily damaging winds. Could also see some areas with large hail and maybe an isolated tornado or two, but not expecting anything as far as any long track strong tornadoes tomorrow. We still, back behind that system, will also see an elevated fire weather risk over southeast New Mexico and into western portions of Texas. Taking a look at the river status, really no major updates to report. Things are kind of just status quo over East Texas and Southwest Louisiana. Things will continue to improve for the most part with very little rainfall forecast over the next 5 days. We still do have that one area down along the Trinity River at Liberty that's expected to hover at moderate to major all this week. You can see in the rainfall forecast for today, like I said, very little in the way of rainfall for today. And then even over the next 5 days, we're really not expecting any heavy rainfall amounts, so nothing to worry about as far as any flooding concerns for the next 5 days. Taking a look at the tropics, Tropical Storm Kate is already moving away from the United States and will have no impacts to FEMA Region 6. And no new tropical cyclones are expected during the next 5 days. The drought monitor will be updated in a couple of days. should see continued improvement. Did want to point out, though, we're still seeing some areas over western Oklahoma and into northwest Texas that are a little bit dry, so that could play into tomorrow afternoon's fire weather risk. As far as space weather is concerned, we do have a G1 to G2 geomagnetic storm that is forecast for today. The bottom line there is you can see in the image almost that the impacts are going to primarily be across the polar region, so nothing to worry about as far as FEMA Region 6 is concerned. And that's all I've got unless there's any questions.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. If you have a question, you know what to do. There's a list of the meetings going on around the region this week. Those that are highlighted in bold are today. Point out our friends from Oklahoma coming down on Thursday. And which ship sank on this day in history? Alright, I see one answer in there. I see another one. And guess what? Everybody has it right. The Edmund Fitzgerald. And there's a list of the folks that went down with the ship. Any questions this morning? All right, everyone, have a great day.